Hi, uh, good evening, dear viewers. I welcome you all again for another series of webinar from the Faculty of Health Sciences, MAHSA University. Before we go on to today's webinar topic, let me highlight you on some programs which we have from the Faculty of Health Sciences. So, Faculty of Health Sciences, we have the programs in physiotherapy, medical imaging, environmental health, and occupational safety and health. And in the faculty, physiotherapy is a school, and then we also have the Department of Environmental Health and Medical Imaging. So from the School of Physiotherapy, we have programs in at the level of diploma, degree, and also the postgraduate course. And similarly, from Department of Environmental Health, we have diploma in environmental health, a bachelor's in environmental health and safety, and also the diploma program. So we have another department which is medical imaging, and medical imaging too. We have the diploma, degree, and the degree programs. And the degree program is run in two modes. We have the conventional mode and also the ODL mode, which is the online distance learning mode. So why do we have to join health sciences? Health sciences has been a very significant part of the healthcare industry. And because of the following reasons, like we have high job demand, this health sciences, a course in health sciences is one of the jobs in demand because it is, this we would have seen during the COVID-19 time where people involved in healthcare was more needed, and we don't have a boring work routine which is busy, and we also can expect a lucrative remuneration from working, and also a career which you can feel good about. So in health sciences, we have a lot of various programs, so you would have the opportunity to work in a variety of settings, and there is also a low risk of job redundancy because this has been a job in demand in many countries across the world. In our faculty, as I said, we have programs at the level of diploma, bachelor's, and postgraduate course. In in physiotherapy, we have the Master of Physiotherapy, which is run as a full-time and a part-time course. So full-time runs for 1 year. It's a 1 year program, and a part-time is a 2 year program. And the entry requirements for Master of Physiotherapy is a bachelor's degree with a CGPA, a minimum CGPA of 2.50, or a minimum of 5 years working experience in the related field. So if you need to know more about the entry requirement, you can visit our website at www.mahsa.edu.my. So these are the various bachelor's programs we have. We have Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, and Bachelor of Medical Imaging. The entry requirements for the bachelor's course is minimum CGP of a GPA of 2.33, and with the two of the following subjects, namely biology or physics, chemistry, or physics, mathematics, or chemistry. And for the diploma, we have diploma in physiotherapy, environmental health, and medical imaging. So the entry requirement for diploma is a pass in Bahasa Melayu and English, and 5 credits in the following subjects, namely mathematics, 1 science subject, and any other 3 subjects. So for a detailed entry requirement, you can visit our website. So we also have a diploma in occupational safety and health. It's a 3 year program. So the entry requirement for that is again a pass in Bahasa Melayu and an English with 3 credits in the following subjects, with namely mathematics or 1 science subject and any other 2 subjects. So in MAHSA, we have infinite excellence is what MAHSA aspires to provide to each of its graduates. So this has been our motto, and this is what we work for. So why choose Faculty of Health Sciences from among the various faculties? In Faculty of Health Sciences, we have an experienced and dedicated international pool of academic staff. We have various study modes, which is run in conventional mode, open and distance learning modes. We have cross-teaching by experts. And I have to say that MAHSA has the most number of health disciplines in any single private university. And we have interactive teaching and hands-on skills we teach for the courses which are involved with clinical skills. And this program or this kind of teaching is run on both face-to-face and an online platform also. And we also I have to say that we have a wide list of hospitals and institutions with which we have a tie-up for clinical and industrial placement, and all of our programs have been accredited by MQA and JPA with international recognition. And for those who think that there could be a financial restriction for pursuing a program, we have a lot of MAHSA scholarships which is being offered. To name a few, we have the Haji Abdullah Academic Excellence Scholarship, the Foundation Scholarship, the Blue Ribbon Scholarship, School Teacher Scholarship, to name a few. And if you need to know what scholarship works best for you, you can visit our website for full details, which is www.masa.edu.my. And we also have to say that we have collaborations and affiliations with a wide range of universities across the world, like the lovely professional university in India, the Sri Vijaya University in Indonesia, and University Indonesia, to name a few, where we send our students. Okay, so this collaboration with various universities is for a student mobility program, where we send students to go into various universities to know about the cultural and professional differences which we have, and to learn about it, to get them more equipped and updated. So these are some of the student mobility programs we had. Yeah. So why wait? We welcome you to join us in any of the programs in Faculty of Health Sciences which you think is best suiting you. And to know more about the various programs which we offer, you can visit our Facebook page. We are also in Instagram and also in Twitter. So you can visit us, you can leave your feedbacks, you can leave your enquiries in any of these social media platforms. A representative will get back to you at the right time. And moving on for today's topic, the webinar topic. The webinar's topic for today is on integrating psychological interventions in pulmonary rehabilitation. So the speaker for today is Ms. Devi Sundar. She's a founder of Teletherapies operating from the United Kingdom. Ms. Devi holds a bachelor's degree in physiotherapy from the Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University. She has done a Master of Science in Respiratory Care from the Hertfordshire University. She has done a postgraduate diploma in respiratory physiotherapy from Trinity College, Dublin, and she holds a Master of Science in Counseling and Psychotherapy. She was previously a lecturer for cardiorespiratory physiotherapy at Cardiff University. She is currently the clinical director, founder at Teletherapies, which is a telehealthcare service that provides pulmonary rehabilitation, health coaching, counseling, and psychotherapy for people with chronic respiratory and mental health conditions. She also has a wide range of publications and book publications under her name. So, without waiting more, I leave the platform to Ms. Devi Sundar. Ms. Devi, kindly unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Nelson? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. Apologies for this. So I would like to record here. Thank you, Nelson, for that kind introduction. And it's my pleasure to be here with you all. And I'm excited to share the insights of psychological interventions in pulmonary rehabilitation for people with chronic respiratory disease. Let me now start sharing my screen with the slide. So today I would like to cover the discussions under the understanding of psychological injuries in chronic respiratory disease, the impact of psychological injuries, addressing the psychosocial views and stigma, identifying the education needs and knowledge gaps in pulmonary rehabilitation, and the power of integrating the psychological intervention. So the intended learning outcome, the key knowledge transfer is aimed at articulating the physical and psychological injuries in people with chronic respiratory disease and their care providers, and also to recognize the psychosocial views and stigma surrounding the chronic respiratory disease, and to identify the education needs and knowledge gaps in pulmonary rehabilitation, and to understand the importance of integrating psychological interventions in pulmonary rehabilitation. So I would like to do a polling session now to get your insights of what you understand about psychological injuries. So psychological injuries mean your polling session starts now. It's 20 seconds. So I hope all had a chance to enter the poll, and we'll reveal the answers at the end of the session. Now, moving on to the next slide, understanding the psychological injuries in chronic respiratory disease. I would like to shed light on the psychological challenges faced by the individual with chronic respiratory disease and also their carers. So, chronic respiratory disease has been in existence, and there have been rehabilitation which started in the 19th and early 20th centuries. And chronic respiratory disease encompasses the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, asthma, interstitial lung disease, and bronchiectasis, and more. Now, these conditions have impact both on the physical and psychological well-being of the patients. Now, the patients undergo a dual struggle, as I mentioned, the physical and psychological, and the burden is also placed on their caregivers. And the burden is beyond the limitation of the lung function in those patients. So let's actually look into what are the physical impacts we are talking about. So the primary symptom which all chronic respiratory disease patients experience is breathlessness. So individuals with chronic respiratory disease experience shortness of breath even at a minimal exertion, which then limits their daily activities. For example, if a person with a chronic respiratory disease was able to do some chores, daily menial chores in their house, they might not be able to do when they have a severe chronic respiratory disease or moderate chronic respiratory disease, because the breathlessness limits their functioning ability. And the patients also experience tiredness.
Sorry to interrupt, Ms. Devi. Can you please share the slides? I think the slide sharing has been stopped.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see now, Nelson?
Not yet. Not yet. I think. Yeah. Now it's popping up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we are able to see. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry about this. So I was, were you able to see these slides? Please confirm that.
Yeah. Now we are able to see. The
Okay.
slide
So
was getting back. Yeah.
okay. So after the polling session, you are not able to see any slides at all, is it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I'm just actually going to start from that session, which you all missed. So after the polling, this is the slide I meant to be showing you, and apologies for this. Now, understanding psychological injuries in chronic respiratory disease, I'm going to discuss about how people are facing the psychological challenges, especially people with chronic respiratory disease and their caregivers. And this chronic respiratory disease has been in existence from the 19th and early 20th century. And the chronic respiratory disease refers to conditions such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema, and asthma, interstitial lung disease, and bronchiectasis, and more. And these conditions have a very significant impact on both the physical and psychological well being of those patients suffering with chronic respiratory disease. So patients with the chronic respiratory disease, as you can see in the slide, with their breathlessness and cough, have a greater limitations, both physically and psychologically. And the burden is also placed on the caregivers. So the physical impact, as I earlier mentioned, the breathlessness, people with chronic respiratory disease have exertional breathlessness, even at the minimal exertion, and they have tiredness. They are more tired for the menial activities, what they have been doing in their routine daily task. And they have frequent exacerbation and flare-ups of the symptoms. As you're aware, chronic respiratory disease is inflammation of the bronchial tubes, and that leads to the narrowing of the airways, and that then limits their breathing ability of the patient, and which also have further impacts like tiredness and leg fatigue and overall anxiety and depression. So that's the thing we are going to see in the next slide, the psychological impact. So the psychological impact, primarily in chronic respiratory disease, is anxiety and depression. Both of the symptoms, the anxiety and depression, the patient are not able to recognize it or label it initially, because they are getting acclimatized to their new normal of breathlessness and shortness of breath, and they are in shock and denial of the condition. So this go unrecognized in most of the patients at the early stage. And basically, the anxiety and depression is related to their own shortness of breath, breathlessness, disease progression, and impact on their daily living. And as a result, they then restrict themselves in engaging with the social community, for example, their friends or the communal meetings. So, because this is the limitation, they actually pose themselves with the feeling of embarrassment and the stigma what others hold against them, their own views and perceptions, which is negative views of their own, impacting their mental well-being. And also, further, this limits their quality of life. So, both the physical and psychological symptoms impact the quality of life, and they are not able to work or engage in any social activities or maintain a sense of independence. They believe that they are dependent on others, and the feeling of dependency poses a risk to their own self-esteem. So, people suffer with low self-esteem, as a result, isolate them more from their relatives or friends or from their family members. I have also have a clear description of mental health challenges in chronic respiratory disease in my YouTube video, Lung Mind channel. So I put the video link on the screen here. So you can very well at your leisure can check out that video and understand more about mental health. Now, the research evidence of anxiety and breathlessness in chronic respiratory disease has been proved. I've just shown an example. There are many research out there, but I've just picked up a research by Smith et al., a recent one in 2020, which emphasizes the interplay between anxiety and respiratory symptoms. So the research, Anxiety and Breathlessness in Chronic Respiratory Disease, a qualitative analysis conducted by Smith et al. And this confirms that anxiety is prevalent psychological injury in chronic respiratory disease. Why they call a psychological injury is people don't perceive that as an injury. They actually get climatized and in denial and shock. And this is causing more negative perception inside them about themselves and about their abilities. And also, the fear of breathlessness leads to an anxiety because they actually fake a danger that they are going to be no more, or they are going to be limited, or they are not going to be disabled. Those are the negative thought patterns that leads to anxiety cycle and further exacerbation of respiratory distress. And there is also a research by Jones et al. In 2019 on depression and chronic respiratory disease. And he conducted a longitudinal analysis which confirms depressive symptoms in individuals with chronic respiratory disease persist. And this actually caused them to low coping skills of their activities and social life and uncertainty of their future. And another research study, the stigma and social isolation in chronic respiratory disease. It is a cross-cultural study by Gracia et al. In 2021, which sheds light on the global impact of the stigma on social connections for individuals with chronic respiratory disease. And this study actually sheds light on the self-imposed beliefs due to breathlessness and a consequence of social stigma, because we all know, like when a person is carrying an oxygen cylinder or coughing around in the park, people might actually stay away from them with a fear that infection might be spreading to them. And this poses a big negative social stigma for the people with chronic respiratory disease, which makes them feel embarrassed or restrict them to be trapped in their mindset that people don't like to be involved with them. Now, I also wanted to shed a light on the burden placed on the caregiver. Caregiver goes through a burnout because there is a lack of understanding of their condition where the relative is undergoing. And also, they have been in denial and shock themselves because they love their relative and they are in denial and shock. They are going through such a serious condition. And so there is a study by Brown et al. 2022 carried out in 2022, and the study name is Understanding Caregiver, Burnout and Chronic Respiratory Disease, a mixed method approach, where it is confirming it is essential to recognize the psychological injuries experienced by the caregivers. Caregivers also go through this anxiety and depression. And as a family, if one of the family members are going through this chronic respiratory disease, they're also going through the social stigma and isolating themselves from their interaction with the broader community. So that leads to their burnout and further anxiety and depression. So the manifestations of the psychological injuries are in the form of sleep disturbances, change in their appetite level, and mood swings, reduced interest in activities which they have been performing before, and now they just don't want to get involved with their respiratory disease, and difficulty in concentration. Now, beyond the limitations, what we discussed earlier, the psychological injuries have a direct impact on the lung function, disease exacerbation, mortality rates, and healthcare utilization. I'm going to explore further with the research evidence in the following slides for each of this component which I've mentioned in the slide. So I've listed 5 research on this slide because research is something which people have been going through and data has been collected, and there is a stronger evidence this is actually happening. So that's what research confirms. And as a healthcare professional, we are all obliged to practice evidence-based care. So these 5 research might help you to convince to understand psychological injury persists in chronic respiratory disease. So the first study here I mentioned is prevalence and risk factors of anxiety and depression in patients with chronic respiratory disease. It's a comprehensive review which actually confirms that there is a higher percentage of people with chronic respiratory disease having psychological injuries, and even during their stable disease condition, which means COPD or asthma is managed with medication and other oxygen therapy and other supplemental medical management. So with that, the disease is maintained stable in cases where the lung functions fall under mild moderate, and even in severe cases, but very severe cases do suffer with exacerbation. So talking about the first 3 stages of the COPD, even if their disease have been stable, still there is a persistent of psychological injuries. That's what the study confirms. And in the second study, it has a direct impact. The psychological injuries have a direct impact on the lung function. And Jones et al. In 2020 conducted a study of the bidirectional relationship between the COPD and depression. And this longitudinal study actually confirms depression in COPD is associated with worsened lung function over time. And it is actually because the people are having both physical impact and psychological impact as a result of the chronic respiratory disease. And the third study here, the disease exacerbation. So a study conducted by Gray et al. In 2018, psychological factors and exacerbation in COPD. It's an exploratory study which explored individuals with COPD with the severe and moderate stages of COPD have a higher levels of anxiety and stress. And so it actually confirms psychological well-being needs to be managed in those stages of COPD to manage the exacerbation. And the fourth study on the slide here is conducted by Brown et al., and it's a meta-analysis conducted in 2021. The study is impact of depression on mortality in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And this study actually had found there is a significant association between depression and increased mortality in COPD patients. And the fifth study on the slide is conducted by White et al. In 2019. And he explored the economic burden of anxiety and depression in COPD patients. It's a systematic review. And that highlighted that the economic burden associated with anxiety and depression in COPD patients increased hospitalization and healthcare cost. So I think that there is enough evidence here so far in the slide for you to get convinced that psychological injury persists and it is beyond the lung function limitation. It impacts the patient's ability of living on a daily basis, increases disease exacerbation, increased mortality, and healthcare utilization. Now, so there is a need actually to recognize the psychosocial views and stigma in chronic respiratory disease. And with my expertise over 20 years in pulmonary rehabilitation, I understand the importance of addressing not only the physical aspect, but also the psychosocial dimensions of chronic respiratory disease. So in the next few slides, I would like to shed light on recognizing the psychosocial views and the stigma surrounding the chronic respiratory disease. And also, I will further explore the effective strategies to address these challenges. So, the impact of psychosocial views. Now, when we talk about psychosocial views, what we are actually referring to is the societal attitudes, their perceptions, and beliefs about the individuals with chronic respiratory disease. And research have repeatedly demonstrated that negative psychosocial views can contribute to feelings of isolation, depression, and decreased quality of life in chronic respiratory disease patients. So, I would like to support research evidence here for the negative psychosocial impact. And this research has been conducted in 2021 by Smith et al. Psychosocial views on chronic respiratory disease, a qualitative analysis. And this analysis actually uncovered the negative psychosocial impact of chronic respiratory disease, including their feelings of social stigma, the embarrassment, and the altered self perception. And it is so important now for health professionals who deliver the care in pulmonary rehabilitation to recognize and understand these views of the patient and their caregivers to tailor an effective intervention. And later, there is also more evidences that individuals with respiratory condition often face stigma due to misconceptions about the causes and the contagiousness of the disease. And hence, as a result, they go through discriminatory attitudes towards the individuals. The other people's perception is posing a discriminatory attitude towards the chronic respiratory disease. Now, the research evidence by Jones et al. 2022, the study Stigma and Quality of Life in Individuals with Chronic Respiratory Disease, it found that there is a clear association between the perceived stigma and the decreased quality of life in chronic respiratory patients. So it is very much important that to address the stigma as a matter of social justice should be delivered to the people to improve their overall well-being. So, so far we have discussed the psychosocial views and the psychological and physical impact on the people with chronic respiratory disease and their caregivers. So, what is the solution for chronic respiratory disease? The effective management for chronic respiratory disease involves comprehensive approach. It includes the medical treatment with medications and inhalers, majority of them, and oxygen therapy, and then pulmonary rehabilitation, lifestyle modification, and psychosocial support to address both the physical and emotional aspects of the condition. Now, I would like to introduce a polling session now. If you go onto this link, Nelson, can you confirm? Can you see the slide?
Oh, sorry, I was unmuted. Sorry to interrupt. For the first poll, we saw that the poll was actually locked.
Okay.
Maybe any way you can unlock the poll?
Yeah, I can. Give me 1 second. Um, I've now activated the poll. Can you see the poll now?
I'm just trying.
So the question here is pulmonary rehabilitation is gold standard management for.
Yeah, now it's open.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, the 20 seconds have finished. Now, there is a 100% response that it is for chronic lung disease, and thank you for that. And now we move on back to our session. Now, pulmonary rehabilitation is a gold standard management for people with chronic respiratory disease. Though it has significant benefits, majority of them are not aware, and that's another challenge. And further challenges are the standardization in pulmonary rehabilitation, which I'll be shedding lights in through the following slides. Now, I believe that everyone is familiar here, watching this, attending this webinar, the ATS and ERS. ATS stands for American Thoracic Society, and ERS stands for European Respiratory Society. So the American Thoracic Society and European Respiratory Society have produced a definition for pulmonary rehabilitation, a renewed definition for pulmonary rehabilitation in 2013, where it states that it's a comprehensive intervention based on a thorough patient assessment, followed by your patient-tailored therapies that include, but are not limited to, exercise training, education, and behavior change, designed to improve the physical and psychological condition of people with chronic respiratory disease and to promote the long-term adherence to health-enhancing behavior change. And this is a point to be noted, which is the long-term adherence to health-enhancing behavior change. Why is this? Because the majority of the reason for chronic respiratory disease is smoking. And that's a form of addiction, and that needs a behavior change. And inactivity is another reason. It's a chicken or egg concept. Whether pulmonary rehabilitation is going to attend both of them is a question, but we'll get the answer in the following slide. But the chicken or egg concept is the physical inactivity has posed chronic respiratory disease, or chronic respiratory disease posed physical inactivity in patients with respiratory disease is a chicken or egg concept. So it is needs a behavior change. So that's the main part of pulmonary rehabilitation, to promote the long-term adherence to health-enhancing behavior change in patients with chronic respiratory disease. Now, pulmonary rehabilitation is a holistic approach, and it's not just an exercise program, as majority of them have a perception and a misconception, I should say, that it's an exercise program. It is not. It is more than that. So it integrates the physical, psychological, and social elements to enhance the overall well-being of the chronic respiratory disease patient. And as I earlier mentioned, I've just specifically mentioned a sustainable health enhancing behavior change. It should be the goal of achievement in pulmonary rehabilitation. And that is the key targets we are aiming in patients with chronic respiratory disease. So this is a very important research for people who are involved in respiratory care to be aware of the importance of the benefits of pulmonary rehabilitation. And this is published in 2015. And so the main area, as I need to focus here, is it's not only exercise program I mentioned earlier. So it is a holistic program, as you can see in this flow chart here. And so it involves exercise training, physical activity coaching, and nutritional modulations, which then, what is the benefit of doing this is it actually improves the limb muscle function, and it decreases dynamic hyperinflation in people with chronic respiratory disease, and also it decreases the exercise-induced symptoms. So what is dynamic hyperinflation? So there is actually air trapping even when the patient is in static, or dynamic is when they are moving. Because their airways are narrowed, they are not able to expire all the air. So there's a lot of carbon dioxide trapped in that alveoli and N gas, and that is dynamic hyperinflation. So they are not able to consume more oxygen because there's already the gas which is trapped, which limits their consumption of oxygen, and that is dynamic hyperinflation. And exercise-induced symptoms such as breathlessness, fatigue, and low quality of life. And there is also smoking cessation program, and to actually enhance the health behavior change. and optimizing the pharmacological therapy, that is inhalers and inhaler education, how they actually using the inhaler techniques are monitored in pulmonary rehabilitation. And if there is a requirement of change of inhalers, there are many respiratory physiotherapists in UK who are getting trained as a prescriber, independent prescriber. So if they are part of the pulmonary rehabilitation, they can actually assess the inhaler technique and also assess the inhalers, what the patients are taking, and change the inhalers depending on the severity of their patient. And so by optimizing what we're achieving, optimizing the pharmacological therapy, we're achieving a reduced exacerbation and decreased hospitalization, and which in turn then improves their active living, and also their light intensity physical activity is improved, and the behavior changes are achieved, and their self-efficacy, that is the confidence in themselves, the ability to execute an action, is improved. And so this is not only due to the physical activity, exercise training, nutritional modulation, and optimizing the pharmacology and smoking cessation, but also the education and the psychological counseling. So the educational sessions are focused on the disease-specific knowledge. It is like if you want to bake a cake, you need to know the recipe of the cake to bake a cake. So if a patient wanted to have improved quality of life, they need to understand what is their chronic respiratory disease and what is their symptoms, how they can manage their symptoms. And the education session is mostly multidisciplinarily delivered, and is a collaborative self-management is also delivered in the session, where they learn the self-management skills. And occupational therapy focus on the energy conservation technique, and psychological counseling is offered, which then directly have a direct benefits of decreased anxiety, depression, and adaptations to limitation. So this actually, I believe so, will convince you to understand the benefits of pulmonary rehabilitation. And pulmonary rehabilitation is not just an exercise program, it is more than an exercise program. And it is a one-stop shop for a patient ability to live and survive a improved quality of life with their chronic respiratory disease. Now, the research evidence to add on. So the first study here, the effects of comprehensive pulmonary rehabilitation in patients with severe chronic obstructive disease by Smith et al., 2022. This study actually confirms that pulmonary rehabilitation not only improves their lung function and exercise capacity, but also improves their mental health, quality of life, and social integration. And it is a biopsychosocial model of care. And the study number two by White et al., 2022, holistic approach in pulmonary rehabilitation, the impact on psychological outcomes. And this is actually a study which more explores the positive effects of pulmonary rehabilitation, addressing the psychological injuries in patients. And it then makes a connection between the physical and psychological well-being, and confirms that pulmonary rehabilitation improves both components in patients with chronic respiratory disease. And study number three, the efficacy of pulmonary rehabilitation in COPD. It is a comprehensive meta-analysis, which then confirms the clinically meaningful difference in exercise capacity, symptom control, and health-related quality of life is achieved by pulmonary rehabilitation in people with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Now, so far I've given you and filled you with the power of knowledge about pulmonary rehabilitation and its benefits. Now, I would like to go into the important part of this discussion, identifying the education needs and knowledge gaps in pulmonary rehabilitation for a comprehensive care for chronic respiratory disease patient. So in this, I would actually be discussing on the pulmonary rehabilitation, what is pulmonary rehabilitation challenges, and the standardization challenge, which I mentioned earlier, and also the knowledge gaps currently, what among the healthcare providers existing, and what are the skill set they need to be trained in. So the key challenges, the study one here, challenges in standardization by Brown et al. In 2019, qualitative analysis. He conducted this analysis and identified several challenges, like variation in program content, differing delivery methods, and inconsistencies in health promotion activities. And so this study confirms there is need for standardization of pulmonary rehabilitation. And again, the second study, variation in program content, conducted by Gracia et al. In 2020, conduct content analysis of pulmonary rehabilitation programs in the United States. And this study actually found significant differences in the components of pulmonary rehabilitation, such as the type of exercise, duration of exercise, education, and psychosocial support varied for the different parts of the United States. And so he also emphasized there needs to be a standardization for an equitable care. And the third study, delivery modes and outcomes of pulmonary rehabilitation. It is a systematic review by White et al. In 2018. And this also highlighted variations in program delivery, including center-based, home-based, and tele-rehabilitation. So this again confirmed that pulmonary rehabilitation requires standardization across different modes of delivery methods. And so, when you talk about the varied educational needs, there is a research that confirmed by the Smith et al. 2023, assessment of educational needs in pulmonary rehabilitation program. This actually confirms there is advanced in exercise physiology and communication skills required by the healthcare professional who deliver the pulmonary rehabilitation. So they need to become aware of this advanced exercise physiology skills and recognize and address the diverse needs of the comprehensive care. Now, when you talk about the exercise physiology, what is that we need to be knowing in exercise physiology and educational needs is advanced understanding of exercise physiology and prescription. For example, if you take COPD, it has different stages, mild, moderate, severe, and very severe, based on their lung function. Majority of the time, we look into the forced expiratory volume in 1 second. And also, there is a phenotype in COPD patients. Not all moderate COPDers will be having exertion at minimal intensity. They might be exerted at moderate intensity of activity. So it is very much important to know the exercise physiology and prescribe and tailor the interventions accordingly. And skills development in tailoring the exercise program for diverse chronic respiratory disease and knowledge of latest advancements in respiratory therapies. Respiratory therapy is advanced in many aspects. Again, the professional boundaries also have expanded. So physiotherapists no longer only get involved in exercise prescription, but they, especially the specialty field of pulmonary rehabilitation, respiratory physiotherapists get involved in wider ranges of delivery of services, and they are considered to be a most suitable person to be a coordinator and leading the pulmonary rehabilitation and delivering this physical, psychological, and medical interventions as well. And this comes by taking advanced training. And so after completing your bachelor's program, going into a specialized master's respiratory care and taking an advanced respiratory specialty training, which will equip you with the skills of this delivery of care. And psychosocial aspect, addressing the behavioral science, training in motivational interviewing techniques for patient engagement, and knowledge of counseling strategies for addressing the anxiety and depression, and understanding the impact of cultural diversity on the patient care is very much important part, which is a knowledge gap currently in pulmonary rehabilitation. Not all rehabilitation centers and professionals are aware of this behavioral science, but there is a growing evidence of awareness. And in the European Respiratory Society, we have created a group for psychologists. And so we are inviting psychologists worldwide who are having a special interest in respiratory care, especially pulmonary rehabilitation, to join the group and to contribute your knowledge and skills to understand and explore this area further and deliver the care to the people with chronic respiratory disease. Now, the current gaps further, another study identifying the knowledge gaps in pulmonary rehabilitation, a global survey by Jones et al. In 2022. This revealed there is a persistent knowledge gaps in addressing the psychosocial aspects, cultural competence, and interdisciplinary collaboration in pulmonary rehabilitation. And bridging these gaps is very much important for elevating the standard of care for people with chronic respiratory disease. And finally, the health promotion has a standardization challenge. And a study in 2020 by Jones et al., again, Health Promotion Pulmonary Rehabilitation Program, a survey of practices and perception. This survey revealed there is a disparities in health promotion practices, including smoking cessation, nutritional education, and stress management in people with chronic respiratory disease. So these are the studies so far which I've just highlighted and brought your attention to convince you to become aware of the gaps and in the knowledge and standardization gaps in pulmonary rehabilitation. And if you anyone attending here more interested in getting involved in this field would like to like to be involved in this program of pulmonary rehabilitation, can contact me. I put my details at the end, and I'll be supporting you and guiding you through the ways how you can get involved in identifying these gaps and supporting a better evidence-based care. Now, the power of integrating psychological interventions. So the main topic today, and I need to give you more evidence, is to convince what are all the psychosocial stigmas, views, and challenges, and for evidence-based integration of psychological intervention in pulmonary rehabilitation. So it is a multifaceted approach we need to take. The first one is recognizing the psychosocial views by conducting patient interviews and surveys about their knowledge of their pulmonary rehabilitation, the care they receive, and what is that they would like to actually introduce more to tailor to their needs. Those are all can be captured with the patient interviews and surveys. And collaboration with mental health professionals in your locality or nationwide or internationally would help you to gain knowledge and to deliver the evidence-based care. And public awareness campaigns to challenge the stereotypes of psychosocial views. That needs to be a priority, and that comes along with the political change in your locality. Now, addressing the stigma, very much important to take educational initiatives to dispel the myths about chronic respiratory disease, and advocacy for individuals with chronic respiratory disease to promote understanding, and support groups and community engagement to create a sense of belonging. And wider in UK, and I also been working in Ireland previously. So we have patient support groups where patient actually leads the group. And if you're hearing something from the peers who also are going through the similar condition, you'll be more interested and more become curious to learn the strategies and not feeling that you're alone. And so you will be stopping that victimizing attitude, and you'll be getting engaged in more towards self-management, learning that skills of self-management. So we have a lot of patient support groups around here. So I'd be more interested to hear whether there is any support groups around in your locality at the end of the session. Now, the research evidence in patient empowerment, empowering the patient is very much a key element in dispelling the myths about these psychosocial views and stigmas, and also to improve the self-efficacy within the patients. So there is a study by Gracia et al. In 2019, Empowerment Strategies for Individuals with Chronic Respiratory Disease. And this emphasizes that patients needs education. And when it comes to education, it is we have to look into the literacy level of the patient, the language barrier, and you need to tailor the education appropriate to the patient, the self-management programs, and also involve the patient and the carer in the decision-making process. One of the gray areas in chronic respiratory disease is the end-of-life care. Very severe stages of chronic respiratory disease, the palliative care, which we refer to. There is a gray area about the decision making, who can get involved in the care and decision making, and the mental health capacity of the patient. And those are all still a matter of discussion. But you need to engage the patient and the carer to the fullest to get the benefit of that program. And so empowering the patient with a face-to-face or online, and following up the education through their programs in 8 weeks or 12 weeks, because pulmonary rehabilitation is delivered in a group session or individual at a number of sessions. So ATS, the American Thoracic Society, confirms at least 24 sessions to 32 sessions is essential to feel the benefit of pulmonary rehabilitation. So throughout those sessions, the patient would be in a supported care, in a professional environment, and a multidisciplinary team, and which will help them to dissolve their negative perception and gain confidence in their skills management. And the other approach we need to take in integrating psychological interventions is interdisciplinary collaboration. Cross-disciplinary education would enhance the teamwork and communication, and that should start from the education level. That means that's the undergraduate programs, where you are actually having a multidisciplinary team approach towards the respiratory condition through case studies or collaborative discussions, and workshops on effective interdisciplinary care planning, and training in utilization of patient-centered care approach. And the next approach is cultural competence. Again, we are talking about delivering a care to people, and people have diversity, and they are from diverse countries, speak diverse languages, so and also from diverse cultural backgrounds. So the healthcare providers who are delivering the care should understand the cultural diversity, and they should be culturally sensitive to what are the practices and engagement method for those groups. And so training is very important for cultural sensitivity awareness and for the healthcare professionals, and workshops on adapting the care plan to diverse cultural contexts, and also including the cultural competency in continuing education requirement is very much essential. And the other approach is integrating the technology. In this modern era and with the COVID outbreak, we all got climatized to the new normal, which is an online delivery of care. And throughout UK and worldwide, people have been delivering the healthcare and other works as well through online. And although now slowly we are returning back, but still the online care is something where the care is delivered in patient home, which should be the aim and the goal for an evidence-based and a quality care to the patient. So training in the use of telehealth platforms for remote patient management is very much essential. And workshops on leveraging the technology for patient education and support, and incorporating a digital health literacy in their own languages, in multiple languages where the patient can consume, is very much important as a part of professional development. The other approach is to stress on is on a continuing education program. So I would like to stress this because, like, as we all age, whatever we have learned in undergraduate or the master's level, or even when we are in our childhood, we might not be remembering all the nitty gritties of the past. So, and also there are changes happening every year throughout the world, and getting ourselves updated in our clinical practice, clinical guidance especially, it requires more of an ongoing education. And compared to other healthcare professional, in my experience, I've noticed that physiotherapy don't have a stipulated amount of continuing professional education credits to be maintained on an annual basis. But for your, if you are a person, a healthcare professional with accountability, and if you are interested to deliver an evidence-based care, then it is very important that you maintain and attend regular workshops, webinars, and conferences on the emerging trends to get yourself updated and deliver a quality care to your patients, and encourage continuous learning through online courses and collaborative initiatives with academic institutions for advanced degrees in pulmonary rehabilitation. And last but not the least, above all, empathy and understanding, I cannot stress this more, is very much essential for healthcare providers as a foundational skill. So, acknowledging your patient's psychological injuries by listening actively with no judgment and tailoring the intervention to the individual needs can make a huge difference in their life. So people don't remember your words, people remember how you made them feel. So it is very important that you give that active listening ears to your patients to deliver an evidence-based care to your patient. Now, I would like to play this patient testimonial. This is from my previous work where I delivered a pulmonary rehabilitation, and we had formed educational video for the patient in comprising the promotion of pulmonary rehabilitation with patient testimonials. So if I could ask people to play this video.
When I was first diagnosed with the COPD, I suppose I was slightly relieved because I thought I had a heart problem. But the doctor decided it was COPD, and that relief gave me a bit of relief from the heart problem I thought I had. And he suggested medication for me, and he also suggested I should join a rehab and do some exercise in the rehab and see how I got on from that.
Well, I didn't realise the implications of emphysema, but when he explained it to me, that, I would have to give up smoking was the first thing, which I didn't know how I was going to manage. But he said that he would give me inhalers, which would give me a bit of quality of life. So he said, the next thing you do is stop smoking.
I was astonished. I didn't think I had it, although I had I got a touch of pneumonia first, and that's when it was really diagnosed that I had COPD. And I was very active previous to this, but I wasn't so active after it.
I probably felt very conscious, because at that time, like, I could feel it in my breathing.
I didn't know what to think. I didn't really understand what it was till it was explained to me.
It affected the quality of my life a lot because I've had to slow down an awful lot, and I can't do an awful lot of the things that I used to do, like dancing. Dancing is a big part of my life. I can still do it, but not as much as I used to be able to do.
I love dancing, but I don't dance anymore because I just couldn't breathe. And I played darts for 30 years. And I had to give up playing darts 2 years ago. Now I'm hoping I'll get back to it because it's a hobby that I love, Hopefully my breathing I will be able to control it to go back to the games.
On the first day I went to the rehab, I found the exercise a bit difficult at first. But we got through the first day and things improved, and felt better after the first set of exercises, and I continued for the 8-week program.
I found it very strenuous for the first day or two, and as the time went on, they became very easy to do, and my breathing improved a lot from them.
Well, I'd never really exercised from the time I was about 20 years of age, so I found it very difficult to do exercises, and until I came to the rehab.
Well, I was anxious the first day of the rehab, and when I started doing the exercises, I thought, I am not going to be able to cope with this. But as the days went on, I realised that I was coping with it, and I thought it was very good.
I didn't know what the exercises were going to be, so I said I'd do them and see. And when I started doing them, I enjoyed them, and I got relief from them.
I think the exercise class is brilliant. It was very hard for me to do them. It was very strenuous. I struggled. I really struggled hard, but I said, well, this disease is not going to get the better of me.
I thought it was doing me good. I found that I was getting better after each class. I was feeling better.
I do the exercise. I do be very breathless for about half an hour, and then I feel it just leaves, and I just feel great.
Well, I improved my exercise at home, so I did from the rehab classes, and I also improved my walking distances, and I've found a great improvement. And I even found a slight improvement in going up hills. So I was very glad of that. So I was.
After my 6 months, I still do quite a lot of walking and exercising at home, but we also have a support group that we do exercises once a week, and it's excellent. So it is. With there's about a group of us do it, and with it being group, it's very easy to do because we motivate one another.
I can do things now that I wasn't able to do. I can go upstairs, and things that I couldn't have done previous to that.
I would say to them, go to your GP and try and get a referral to somewhere for, for pulmonary classes, for something like that to help.
Do plenty of exercise and just get out there and live your life, because this is it. Like, you're not going to get another chance at it, and you just have to do the best you can. And the more you do, the more you seem able to do.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar entitled How to Perform an
Sorry to interrupt, Ms. Devi. Kindly unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, Nelson? I'm sorry, I'm just getting into this bad habit of muting myself. Sorry. So can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Yeah, okay. And let me share again. Yeah. So if you can actually go to the question. Let me share it again. Okay. So go to the question, what are the approaches to standardized pulmonary rehabilitation program? So I've activated this. I'm not sure whether you can actually see the question.
Ms. Devi, I think the poll is locked now. Can you please unlock it?
I think the poll is locked because I'm sorry, it's my side where I have to go according to the questions listed here. So the next question is the same link, but I'm going to activate the poll for pulmonary rehabilitation should comprise of so the poll is running now, 8 seconds. And the poll ended. Okay, all of the above. That's great. Thank you. And move on to the next question now. I'm activating the poll. What are the approaches to standardized pulmonary rehabilitation? So your time starts now. I'm not sure why this poll is not activating.
It's locked again. Is it 10 seconds before which we need to answer?
I think that the poll is not getting activated for some reason. I don't know why. Let me actually see. Yeah, I've unlocked it, and the poll is running now. What are the approaches to standardize pulmonary rehabilitation program? So 13 seconds. Great. So you answered all of the above. Identify education needs for both patient and clinician, cultural competence training, mental health integration, address psychosocial views and stigma, all of the above. Well done. And now I would activate this for your feedback. Share your feedback in one word. I would give 30 seconds for this. Ten seconds left. Okay, I end this poll. Now, thank you for your feedback. Let's actually go back to the session. Start sharing down. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in this session. And I believe that this was a useful resource for all of you. And if you'd like to have some questions which you're not felt to be asking here in this platform today, you can absolutely reach me on those contacts on this screen. And my email is there, teletherapy790@gmail.com. And I'm absolutely happy to support you and answer or guide you through the pulmonary rehabilitation if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Devi, for the insightful presentation and sharing knowledge. And dear viewers, if you have any questions for the speaker, please leave a comment on the chat box. I do have a question for you, Ms. Devi.
Yes, Mason.
What are the differences do we encounter between a pediatric and adult patient with respect to the psychological impact because of a chronic respiratory disease?
That's a very good question, and no one ever thought about it. So in terms of the pediatric and the adults, as you have actually mentioned, pediatric is the age group below 13. Yeah. So those sort of age group would not be even able to spell out what is anxiety and depression. Yeah, although now emerging environment now these days, people are even a 10-year-old is coming up with anxiety and depression. But when you're talking about the research is very poor in whether what is the psychological difference between a pediatric and adult. Okay, and now the research in the last 10 years has evolved looking into the psychosocial views of an adult psychological injury. So it might be something which will be growing up, but definitely it is the burden for the caregiver. So the caregiver is a person who is actually going to be looking after the pediatric who's going through this condition of chronic respiratory disease. Okay, majority of the pediatric go through asthma. Yeah, asthma is a more prominent condition, and so the child is getting used to the new normal of their breathing pattern and the risk of allergens and how they need to be protecting themselves out of that. And what are the measures? Again, there's exercise onset asthma as well. So the pediatric should be more aware of in their school what they actually need to be getting involved as an activity. They might feel an isolation. might be they have not actually verbalized it to their caregivers at all. Okay, and that can also impact their relationships, the friendships, and relationship with their own family. Okay, they might be embarrassed, but they not be spell out. But research evidence is very poor, but definitely they do have psychological injuries, and that actually modulates their personality. They might be then withdrawn from all the other activities, and they might go into a zone of introvert zone. Okay, which might people might actually then think that, oh, a person is very quiet. Why the person is very quiet? No one ever questions very deeply whether it is related to the asthma or any of the respiratory condition. Maybe they would think, magnify the situation with different things. Yeah, but in terms of the adult psychological injuries is more prominent. They can understand the psychological injuries, but again, there is a sense of embarrassment and stigma that does not let them to come out and speak up for themselves. And now the professionals are becoming more aware of the psychological injuries and providing support. So my recommendation would be, if you, after attending this webinar, if you are a pediatric respiratory physiotherapist or an adult respiratory physiotherapist, wherever you're placed, do recognize the symptoms of withdrawal, anxiety in those population of pediatric or adults, and try to support them or signpost them to counseling session or psychotherapy so that they get an added support to how to manage their anxiety and depression, what they're going through, and to develop their self-esteem to manage their condition. Hope that's
Thank you.
actually helpful.
Thank you for answering. And I have another question out of curiosity. Since you're the founder of teletherapies, what technology do you use in the United Kingdom for delivering this teletherapy?
So we use the online platform. So we use the Zoom platform to deliver the session. So that's not anything different, but we have an added security for the Zoom platform to deliver because they're one-to-one, and we have to maintain the confidentiality for the patient. And we have a packages. If you go into the teletherapy's website, we have different packages to tailor to the needs of the patient. So we don't actually prescribe, yes, you go onto a 8 weeks program and you have a generalized program. So we offer an individually tailored program, and people also get a group session if they are interested and keen in attending a group session.
And do we have any added-on effect because of CRD if it is a comorbidity with another condition, like for example in stroke with CRD as a comorbidity? Would it have an added-on effect on the psychological impact?
Absolutely, yes. So a stroke is actually going to impose with the limitation of their functional limitation. Added on top of it, if they're also having this chronic respiratory disease, that's going to withdraw them more from all the other activities and isolate them. So it is going to have a major impact, both physically and mentally, for those people.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Devi, for answering these questions. Our webinar would be on University Facebook page. Any further questions arising, we would duly forwarding it to you, and we request you to address those questions at your convenient time.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure, and thank you, Nelson, for this opportunity to share this insight to MAHSA University. And I hope so it will be a resourceful information for global people who are watching your website. Okay, thank you for this opportunity.
Okay. And dear viewers, an e-certificate will be provided for this webinar. So kindly fill in the survey form that you can find in the link provided in the comment section. Now we come to the end of this webinar, and I take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Ms. Devi, for joining us, and especially for her knowledge sharing. And I also thank all the attentive viewers for joining this webinar. We look forward to your participation in the future events hosted by MAHSA University. For further queries, please contact us through our MAHSA website or visit our social media page. Good evening and have a pleasant day.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.